want to do with your kids, pick one of the schools that advertise in the Current for one. But hey, this is great. I know the people involved in this. The guy who leads the big band that I listen to, turns out he's involved with them.
Really?
Yeah, he's on their board.
Yeah, well, it's important to keep the kids busy over the summer. You know what I mean? Keep their brains active so they don't lose everything that they've learned over the course of the year. So keeping the kids busy through camp or schooling or whatever is important. So make sure you do that. 734-747-7422. It's golikthewind.com. All right. Yep. So on the phone, we've got, it's first of the month, we've got 7th District Congressman Tim Walberg. Congressman Tim, welcome to the show.
Good to be with you and keep my mind active as well.
Absolutely. And you need to, because the Democrats controlling the House is probably dumbing down a lot of people, isn't it?
I tell you what, it's hard to remain active because we've literally, and you can check the records out, it's not just my word, we've done nothing that has been significant or that would be any type of major legislation, including in a budget, since January 3rd when the Democrats took control of the House. We continue to pass posture legislation that puts us on record in voting against Mom Apple Pie and the girl next door. I suppose I shouldn't joke about that. That'll probably be used against me in my next campaign. But
it'll be the guy next door.
That's kind of what it's become. Knowing nothing will pass the Senate, nothing, if it did, would be signed by the president. Unlike us, we knew that we had a challenge in the Senate last term with the Democrats controlling cloture, but we knew that we did have a chance for a majority of senators to vote for it, and we had a majority in the White House to sign it. So it's a little different this year, and that's what's frustrating. But hey, the people voted, and we're going to try to prove that they should do another vote next time that's completely the opposite and put the Republicans back in charge of the House. Yeah,
because all we're getting is craziness from Adam Schiff, Nadler, and Pelosi, and
Waters.
Tim, give us an update on. So AG Barr told Nadler basically, "I'm not coming."
Right.
Can you fill us in on the details of how that went?
Well, basically, so I'm delighted to come. I'll answer all your questions. He proved it the day before in the Senate, 6 hours of questioning, and he put up with it. And I think answered very clearly, whether they like the answer or not, he answered the questions. He said he would do the same. He gave Jerry Nadler and the key leadership on that committee the opportunity to come over and read an almost unredacted version, except for what, by law, he cannot let be read without redacting it, and that's the grand jury stuff. So everything else was going to be available, and Jerry Nadler and the Democrat leadership would not go over there and read it. So they wanted to have him come, and rather than them asking questions, including the Republicans, they wanted the staff attorneys to ask questions. Well, that's saved for things like impeachment hearings and the like. That's not for the Judiciary Committee, made up of, I think, almost totally lawyers who sit on that committee. And if they can't ask questions as good as staff attorneys, then we have a problem. And I know the Republicans wanted to ask the questions, and Doug Collins, who's the ranking member, the Republican leader on that committee, just ripped into Jerry the day before yesterday.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw that.
I heard it, yeah.
Just very clearly showed what they were trying to do. It was not trying to do the work of the people. It was trying to do politics and impeachment type appearances. So I think he was right in saying, no, I'll come over. Now, the one other thing your listeners need to know, you hear Democrats, and then they're just doing their talking points. They've got them out there, and so all of them are talking, even the Indivisible group back in the district. They read it, so they'll parrot it, even though they don't know for a fact that this is true. When we had the Kavanaugh hearing with Dr. Ford there, the decision was made to have an attorney ask the majority of questions. And why? Because it was supposed to treat a lady in front of this committee, primarily made up of men, give her a little bit of comfort knowing that it was a female attorney that had been asked and put in place to ask those questions. Questions would be proffered to that attorney by the senators if they wanted to, but it was done for that purpose, and it was also a confirmation hearing, and it was also based upon statements and challenges that has been made by Ms. Ford against the appointed or the nominated justice of the Supreme Court. So it's a total different ballgame that we're talking about here. This guy is an attorney general. He's already been appointed and nominated and confirmed, and he's in the job. And those type of people come in front of our committees, and we ask them the questions, just so like we asked Eric Holder the questions in front of our oversight committee when I sat on that, when we ultimately held him in contempt because he wouldn't submit information we requested at all, unlike what Barr has said. I'll give you all the information except the grand jury stuff that by law, unless you change it, I can't give. So I hope your listeners hear that. It is a total different ballgame.
That's a good point.
From the Kavanaugh hearings.
Yeah. So, and that answered a question that I had. So that's great. So let me ask you this, Tim. If Nadler wants to see completely unredacted, is there a court order that he can get? Can he go to court and get that?
I don't think so. I say I don't think so because I don't know that for sure. All I know is that the general legal requirement is that when you have a grand jury, you're able to say to those that are appearing in front of you and being questioned that we will give you the opportunity with a significant amount of immunity if you'll give us a full story. And for that, we will also promise that we're not going to release that information.
Okay.
I think there may be a few instances if it's for national security or if the person has done something that is like murder in the process.
I read a lot of the report, and I looked at what was redacted, held it up to light to see if I could see the print underneath the redaction, But you could tell that it was mostly methods and means that was being redacted or particular names to protect people. But obviously you didn't want to say who your contact was that you got this information is at the Russian embassy because what? That's a source.
Yeah.
Well, it's a source. You have source and methods. But in a grand jury case, it's simply in order to get them to tell the truth and tell it without holding anything back as much as possible. That's the effort to try to determine. You will give them assurances that they will be anonymous. And that's a matter of law. And Jerry Nadler, an attorney, he ought to understand that. This is just politics, again, trying to keep something going when the ultimate response, the ultimate result of the Mueller investigation was no conspiracy with Russia, no collusion, and no obstruction.
Can I ask a question?
Our matter, of course, for our law is you're innocent until proven guilty. Mueller, at the very least, and hear me when I say that, at the very least, I'm not saying that there was any more, but at the very least, they found nothing that would cause them to say you're guilty of something. Can
I ask you a question? Is eating fried chicken in front of all the rest of the members of Congress, does that violate any code of conduct?
In my book, it ought to.
Without offering enough to any, did you bring enough for everyone, young man?
If you eat fried chicken in front of me, I will hold it against you.
He should have brought it for everybody.
My wife wanted to know why the bucket said Kentucky Fried Chicken instead of KFC, because we never see Kentucky Fried Chicken buckets anymore. They always say KFC. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a little advertising. I'm wondering if he got himself a nice big chunk of change out of that.
Yeah.
Huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Well, so, Tim, let's kind of switch gears then here real quick. Infrastructure's coming. Have you heard anything about the deal that Pelosi and Schumer talked with the president about?
I haven't heard much other than $2 trillion price tag that was suggested for what they talked about. That's a concern. I mean, I think we have plenty of infrastructure needs, and I'm certainly willing to support moving forward on that, but I'm going to have to know if it's $2 trillion, where do we get that? Other than what we've been doing, printing money, and I'm not sure that's the way we ought to be doing it. So there are a lot of questions, but I'm thankful that there was not a blow-up that was postured like we saw the last time they got together in the president's office and just simply said, we're not going to give you any deal, not even if it's $1. We're giving you nothing for the wall, and that was just a bad scene. But in this case, hopefully we'll find a way. I'm glad they're talking. The president's a deal maker. He's sure succeeding. I mean, how'd you like those economic reports yesterday?
Yeah, just amazing. And he's delivering, And all the pundits and even CNN and MSNBC there's not a whole lot they can complain about. Pelosi's trying, but it just comes off as cheap and shallow when she says the people aren't really feeling this. Yes, we are. We're employed. We're making money. We're saving money. We're optimistic. Honestly, I feel it in a day-to-day existence of me. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good.
We've got business, and we don't have people to I see work cells going empty because business is picking up, and we can't get enough people in to come in, and work.
I met an architect last night at an event I was at here in the district who said, we've been thinking that there's going to be a slowdown, and we've been literally almost hoping for it because we're turning down projects. We don't have the people to do it. Ourselves, we can't even do it, keep up with the projects that are being offered to us. I've talked to contractors who are out there, and they're saying the same thing. One, we can't keep up with it. We also can't hire people to do the jobs. Can't find them. We're talking with truckers, trucking companies. They can't find truck drivers to transport the goods and services that people want to order. So it's a tough time, but it's a tough time from a lot of different perspectives than what we talked about 8 years prior to this. The economy is going strong. 3.6% unemployment rate. It dropped again this past month. 3.2% GDP growth, which continues, which is putting us on track for an annual 4% average growth. This is something that the past president said, Obama said, you'd have to have a magic wand to do this. Well, I guess the wand has been found. And the tax issue. As more and more people hear the answer as to why they didn't get as large of a return as they're used to, and it's not because they paid more taxes, it's because they paid less. There was less taken out of their paycheck, so there was no reason for them to have the large return. All of a sudden, people are saying, "Oh, I guess I am part of that 80% of the population that actually did see a tax cut to my pay."
So they lent less to the federal government during the last year. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So Tim, Gary from Hazel Park's got a comment for you about politics. Derek, I'm going to let you bring him in because I don't want to hang up on anybody. It's my luck today. Gary, you there?
Yes, sir. Representative Walbert. I've never met you, but I've heard you many times, and I respect you. But my point is, when you say it's just politics up in Washington, I think it's a lot worse than that. I think it's like dereliction of duty and subverting the will of the people and outright lying. I mean, these people are out to do immense damage to my country, and I'm insulted by them.
Well, I appreciate that, and that tells me again that you didn't bring it to pass to have these people in office. But remember, they got elected, and they are in the majority. So the only thing we can say is that's what the people wanted. And from my place, I said I never wanted anything like this, so I don't feel like I'm wrong when I go against the majority will of the people that elected the majority in the House and oppose them at every stretch of the way, except on things that we can support. But again, that's another example of why people have to think clearly when they vote, and they can't think populist. That's what happened with a number of the referendum that we saw in this last election here in Michigan that we're going to pay for in significant ways for a long time to come. But these people, they think they have the will of the people because they are in the majority. AOC got elected in New York. Omar got elected in Minnesota. Tlaib got elected in the Detroit area. And so they're going gangbusters because they know that the 2 years that Trump had the control of the White House, the House, and to some degree the Senate, not much, but to some degree, he accomplished an awful lot that he wanted to get done, and he's continuing to do it. So I agree with you that they are not working for the best interest of the country, but they can legitimately say to me, hey, we're the majority. We got elected. The people put us in, and so it's the will of the people. I hope we can be better communicators, and in the next election, people say, no, not again. We're going back the American way.
Yeah. Great call, Gary. I appreciate it.
You know, I'd like to remark on something we've been talking about. And we talked about populist initiatives, the last vote, and we're talking about needing a workforce. And you mentioned trucking, and of course, I'm in manufacturing, and both fields are short of applications, and I think that's because a lot of people are doing recreational marijuana, and they know they can't get a CDL if they have THC in their blood, and